What's going on, DMG Clan? Today we're going to be checking out the super card for your Game Boy Advance, your Nintendo DS, or your Nintendo DS Lite. So let's jump in and see if this thing's worth the 30 bucks I paid. So this super card flash card can be used with GBA, GBA SP, NDS, NDS Lite, and it was only 30 bucks on Amazon with Prime. 30 bucks Canadian, that is, folks. If you're living in Bangladesh, Philippines, anywhere else, and you got it for 5 bucks, then great. My conversion rate is probably a little bit more. According to the box, it says that it can handle 1 gigabyte plus, but it can only go up to 2 gigabytes, formatted to FAT, not FAT32. I found this out the hard way. All we have in the box is the card, some plastic, and nothing else. You don't even get a 2 gigabyte card or even a 1 gigabyte card, which can be purchased on AliExpress at least for not even 2 bucks. So why not include it? And that leads me to what I had to do next. So jumping around on my computer, searching the interwebs, I had to find the firmware. The site that was on the card didn't even work, so the Internet Archives was helpful in this situation. After failing the first time, finding out that FAT32 wasn't a thing on the 2 gigabyte cards, I had to recopy everything over, which took about 20 minutes total. So now for the big test. I tested a game from each system. Game Boy Advance, Pokemon Emerald, wouldn't even load. Went to a white screen and crashed. Game Boy Color Oracle of Seasons, loaded, but there were some ugly borders and I tried to mess around with this and it didn't even work. Pokemon Blue still had the ugly borders with the white kind of centered on the screen, and it just didn't look right on the screen. So even at first, when I loaded this card, the GBE emulator, which is what's basically running off these, seemed like it was broken, but it wasn't broken. It was just a filter that was set, and that was probably just because somebody uploaded this to the archives and they set this to this filter at the time. So I'm assuming maybe the filter would have been different. The save and load states wouldn't even function as they should. Maybe I'm missing a setting somewhere, but that's the thing, like this thing did not come loaded. It wasn't easy to set up. Unlike the Easy Flash Definitive Edition, it had a website that you could go to that still worked to get the files that you needed. So at this point, it was time to pull out that Easy Flash because I just had to see the comparisons. First test was Game Boy Advance. It loaded perfectly. Pokemon Emerald, game loaded, save states loaded, no problems. Game Boy Color and Game Boy games both were the same scenario. I didn't even have to do any other testing. The borders on the Game Boy games worked. Some Game Boy games or Game Boy Color games don't actually have borders, by the way. That's actually loaded into the cartridge itself and it loads in the background onto the actual device, onto the flash cart, onto the board. I'm not going to explain everything in depth. So this really goes to show that a $100 Easy Flash card versus a $30 what they call super card, cheaper card, really shows how money talks in this situation, because the $100 card definitely worked a lot better. So should you buy a $30 to $32 super card in 2024? And why I say $32? Because of that 2 gigabyte SD card you had to buy. Well, that's up to you, I guess. I mean, it is a budget-friendly option to play some games, but honestly, the fact that it didn't even play Pokemon Emerald, which is the Game Boy Advance game itself, makes me wonder if it's really good enough to play anything at all. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this kind of content, because I've covered the Easy Flash Definitive Edition on the channel already, sort of, and some other flash carts, and I'm also getting the big Switch soon. Have a nice day, guys. See you next time. Enjoy gaming. Bye!